Hey guys, I'm back with another video. I had some issues with recording where the audio and the clips were severely desynced, and I really didn't want to make a video with that interfering, so that's why I've taken so long in making a new video. So I'm coming at you guys with an Overwatch video today, so this is our first, obviously, for the channel. You likely don't know this, but I play Overwatch a lot, way more than I play Rainbow Six, and I just never know what to talk about when it comes to an Overwatch video, except what I'm going to talk about today, so let's jump into it. Whilst I generally consider myself a flex player who is somewhat comfortable on all roles, I definitely became known amongst my friends as a tank player, both flex and main tank. So in today's video, I'm going to be going over a somewhat basic concept, which is the types of tanks, playstyles, roles, and etc. in the tank category. We'll briefly mention Hammond, aka Wrecking Ball, but won't go into as much depth because he's not out yet. So here we go. The tank role specialises in protecting allies, disrupting enemies, and occupying the front line. The two main tank roles are main tank and off tank, or you can call it flex tank. The main tanks are all tasked with protecting allies, playing the front line, and most importantly, maintaining and occupying space for the rest of the team to use. Reinhardt, Winston, and Orisa are all main tanks. The pattern is the barriers, since this is the way they're able to frontline whilst absorbing spam damage and preventing potential picks from the enemy team. First up is Winston. Winston excels at the creation of space. He's a spearhead of the popular dive team composition, which focuses on high mobility to get into the enemy's backline and blow up the squishies. With his lower health pool and weaker barrier than the other main tanks, Winston players ideally want to get in, do what they need to do, and get out or even finish the fight or whatever. Unfortunately, an incompetent team makes maintaining space difficult against a more controlled composition. So let's say you dive into a Orisa and a Hog. If your team isn't following up with the correct strategy, you can instantly get blown up as Winston and basically become a feeder at that point. So he's really difficult in that sense, but even a one-dimensional dive can make him extremely successful. Orisa is great at holding her ground, with her immobile barrier and fortify ability. Whilst her space creation is arguably the worst of the main tanks, she does set up her team with her halt ability to either force cooldowns, waste time, or even get early picks, which in my opinion is the strongest aspect of Orisa's kit. She has the most threatening range of all the tanks, allowing her to reign supreme with suppressive fire, and can outplay her enemies using both halt and barrier dancing, and her durability in a close quarters fight against a Reaper, for example. As she's very immobile, however, you'd want to play her in a team who can facilitate this, as she's a sitting duck once her fortifies over and basically an easy target. So think about pairing her with someone like Hog or other counter dive characters to prevent that. Reinhardt finds himself somewhere in the middle of the other two main tanks, and is a perfect blend. Reinhardt has some great initiation tools and a healthy barrier which allow him to frontline and create space with ease. Unlike Winston, he doesn't feed as much, as he's a much safer pick because he doesn't need the team as much as Winston might. He can also fit into any comp that isn't dive really. He's number one for heavy tank compositions, triple tank or even quad tank. The Reinhardt will always be the main tank, but can also play in those anti-dive compositions as well. He's your standard tank and offers everything from initiations, protection for allies, and disruption of enemies through crowd control and some solid damage. He's basically the go-to tank, especially in the current meta that we're in. Next up, we're going to talk about the off-tanks. Zarya, D.Va, Roadhog, and soon-to-be Wrecking Ball are all off-tanks. The off-tanks are typically a pick which facilitates the main tank in a lot of ways, in addition to offering some added utility to the core roster of the team. In a separate video, we'll be talking about the tank combos, but for now we'll be talking about the off-tanks in their own respective rights. First up is Zarya. Zarya can offer a lot in a brawl with her high damage in pressure situations, as well as what is essentially a 2-second damage immunity for herself and an ally every 8 and 10 seconds respectively. The main attraction for Zarya is her ultimate, Gravity Surge, pun intended. This is arguably the best ultimate in the game, as it allows for an easy team wipe for even a somewhat competent team. While Zarya can completely carry a game with her damage output, her use of the bubbles and Gravity Surge can more than make up for a Zarya who's lacking in the damage department. Next up is D.Va. D.Va is by far the best tank in the game, as she fits in any and every team comp. The only time you won't see a D.Va is if you have a solo tank comp or no room, like a 2-2-2 with Ryan and Zarya for example. Otherwise, D.Va can play any comp and any strat. There's a flexible off tank with a high mobility, high damage potential, and most importantly the defense matrix. Since she's so flexible, D.Va has no specified playstyle. Oftentimes you'll see a D.Va as a tank who contests points and peels for Zens and Widows in higher level play. Additionally, her potential for aggression makes her a great candidate for the dive comp. All of these possibilities make for one of the most influential and flexible heroes in all of Overwatch. Roadhog's next. I'd argue that Hog is one of the most underrated heroes in the game, close to Ana. Hog has been nerfed several times, but still has some great carry potential as he's always had. While not as effective as D.Va, Hog does have some devastating utility for displacing the enemy and some high damage potential. He's less about protecting his team traditionally and more about killing the things to stop an attack. Hog pairs well in a bunker / control style comp, something immobile or a brawl comp can work very well with Hog. I'm just going to briefly touch on Hammond since he's not out yet, or Wrecking Ball. He's effectively a dive tank much like D.Va or Winston with a lot of disruption, crowd control, mobility and damage potential. The idea is to jump into the enemies, pop the shield and let a team follow up with their attacks. That's all for now. I'll be going more into the heroes of Overwatch in the future, especially more in depth with the individual tank heroes in separate videos each. So I thank you all for watching and I can't wait to see you guys in the next video. Bye guys.